first item of business needs to be, we're kind of chairless at this moment, but let's, I guess, make the appointment first and then elect the chair.
So we need a joint member.
Yes. And recommend Chair Damon.
And so did the commissioners, so we do need a,
Yeah.
Speak up.
we need an official, I guess, an official,
Okay.
Yeah.
May I-
A motion?
may I make a
Motion.
su- Can I make a suggestion?
Sure.
What, I guess, I don't like the way we always, and Tara may be the only nominee, but it's, can we nominate everyone and then everyone say who they vote for? Otherwise, it becomes whoever jumps in first gets
Yeah,
to make
we'll-
a nomination.
We'll follow Robert's rules. We'll go by order of nomination. We
Thank
don't,
you.
we won't require seconds, but we'll go down the list as nominated.
Okay.
So, and everyone will get one vote.
Well, if you're more familiar with Robert Rule, you.
Sure. So, I will open up the floor for nominations at this time.
Want to start at the end and work our way down?
If anyone can call out nominations.
Adam Everard, since he was only one that was a small business owner, I think it was on the list, besides, maybe Dr. Martin, but I already tried Dr. Martin.
Okay, so we got Adam Everard. Any other nominations?
Tara Damon.
Sorry.
Tara Damon. Any others?
Okay, do we,
So everyone gets one vote, and we will vote in the order of nomination. So if there's no more nominations, I'll close the floor for nominations. And so our two nominees are Adam Everard and Tara Damon. So we'll just do a hand vote, raise your hand. So we'll do Adam Everard. We've got one. Tara Damon. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. So the vote is 1 for Adam Everard and 5 for Tara Damon. So our joint pick will be Tara Damon. So please come join us.
Please join us.
Sure.
Come on down, you're the next contestant.
These are the fun seats to be in.
yeah, so they say.
All right. Welcome, Tara. I guess the next item should be the election of chairs or co-chairs. Yeah, I guess introductions, sure.
Yeah, that'll work.
Tara's turn? Okay, we'll start that way.
Okay, go ahead, Greg.
You just said that.
Greg Jarbo, Commissioner, District 1. I guess that's good enough.
Yeah, that's
Charlie Ballmaster, District 1, County Council.
Sherry Flynn, Tell City resident.
Tom Hauser, Perry County Commissioner of District 2.
Luke Thomas, County Council, District 3.
Karen Emerson, Perry County Development Corporation.
Tara Damon, I'm a county resident and the planning commission president.
You guys go ahead and speak up some more.
Tara Damon, I'm a county resident and president of the planning and zoning commission, both of those ones, as well as the representative for Indiana 15 Regional Planning Commission. I'm the chair for that, representing Perry County.
And Pam Goffman.
Yeah, minutes. I like, and just by the way, I like this seat down here.
Well, I'm going to make a motion for chair. I make the motion that Luke and I, as president of the commissioners and president of the council, that we co-chair this committee.
I think that's probably best, just to keep everyone, everyone's got their fair say or whatever, Does anyone have a problem with that?
I'll second.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, motion carries. So Tom and I will serve as co-chairs. Pam is here for minutes. Thank you, Pam. So we don't have to worry about that. We've appointed a 7th member. Something I would like to do is disclosures, because I just want to let everyone know that I work for Indiana 15 Regional Planning Commission, who receives tax dollars as part of their fees that they collect each year. So I just want to make that known right now, that's who my employer is. So if anyone else feels the need to make any disclosures, Terry, you said that.
Yeah, that's why I said it.
Yeah.
I'm the chair for Indiana 15, and on the executive board. I also work for an engineering firm, but I have not done any work here in Perry County.
So, yeah, thank you, Tara. So, I just wanted to make sure we all got an opportunity to do that. Okay. that's next on my list. I guess next we should talk about, we received our portion of money we're going to receive. It's going to be a little over $3.7 million. The exact figure I already forgot, but Perry County has received the first tranche. Do you have that amount, Pam? I think it's about $1.8 million. We have.
It was 1.8 something.
Yeah, so we already have $1.8 million in our accounts waiting to be used. So that's that. So I just want to talk quickly about the eligible uses. Treasury is implementing the American Rescue Plan Act, the local coronavirus local recovery fund. They have published an interim final rule, which doesn't make any sense because it's interim, but it's also final, but whatever. That is available on treasury.gov. You can look at it there. They also have a frequently asked questions that is updated almost weekly now, also available on treasury.gov. Anyone can go look at it. But the broad uses are to respond to the public health emergency or its negative economic impacts, to respond to workers performing essential work during the COVID-19 public health emergency, for the provision of government services to the extent of the reduction in revenue due to the COVID-19 public health emergency, and to make necessary investments in water, sewer, or broadband infrastructure. So those are our broad categories of eligible uses. Like I said, Treasury has published an FAQ that kind of goes into more details about specific, you can kind of see specific uses outlined in that FAQ. I would encourage everyone to look at it, just so we all kind of are on the same page. And the National Association of Counties has done a tremendous job. They have an analysis of the rescue plan, they have an FAQ, they have county distributions. I will send out that link of NACO. They've done the best job I can find, kind of summarizing what we're going to be dealing with. So I just wanted to make everyone aware of that. So what's next? We don't really have an agenda, so we got to make one for next time.
Well, and I'm going to speak what I would like to see come out of this, that we get the most bang for our buck. So if we can spend money that will help in other projects, and I'm just going to use some figures here. If you spent the entire $3.7 million on and I don't mean to pick on, we just got a note from Troy Township Water Association. You could spend $3.7 million on adding water system in a place and not get very far with it. And then we've spent our whole amount on that, you know, and there's so many aspects that it can be spent on. So
Yeah.
the trick is to make the 3.7 turn into more than that.
Yeah, for sure. Anyone else have any comments, just from the get-go?
There's no rush.
No, yeah, so I guess let's talk about
That's
that.
another thing we
Yeah.
gotta keep in mind, there is absolutely no rush at this
Yeah.
point.
So we have until December 31st of 2026, no, 2024, to obligate the funds. They don't have to be spent until December 31st of 2026. So you can obligate them up to December 31st, but then you have 2 years to complete your project. If, for example, if we had a water project, you have 2 years to do it.
What are the general restrictions on what they can be used for?
There's really, you have those 4 broad uses, and basically, if you can make it fit into those categories, you're usually good.
I think the key word there is broad. Because it really, I mean, and not to speak out of turn,
No.
but I think it's very open. I mean,
Yeah.
There are some limitations, but it's pretty open.
Yeah, they have a non-exclusive list of things in their FAQ or their interim final rule. Yeah.
Did someone make a request for these funds, or has this been delegated to numerous counties?
So each county in the United States receives money directly from the U.S. Treasury. All they had to do, well, not all they had to do, they had to give their life. Pam had to do facial recognition, Social Security. You had to give a lot of information at the county level to be able to receive it. But all counties in the United States receive money directly from the Treasury. So all the cities and towns in the United States receive money through their state. So for Indiana, cities and towns will be receiving their money through the Indiana Finance Authority. Right now, they can request their first half of funds through the Indiana Finance Authority. So that's how the money is distributed. But counties are special; they get it directly from Treasury.
But maybe to answer your question further is, we had no idea or any control over how much the county would get. They told us how much the county would get. you're getting 3.7, and it went all over the place, 3.2, 3
Yeah,
points, and then finally it settled in on, okay, you're getting this amount of money, and with it coming straight from the U.S. Treasury, it's different than what the cities and towns did. The cities and towns, it comes from the Indiana Finance Authority, which means we can't spend this money on co-pays or matching funds for federal grants.
Right.
The cities can because it comes from the state, but you can't spend federal money to match federal grants.
Yeah.
It's, if it clears it up any at all.
Yeah.
And I think I hear you saying that numerous counties in our state did receive funds.
Yes, yeah.
Is it because Perry is particularly needy that we got this amount?
There was a formula that Treasury, or I guess Congress established a formula, or Treasury did, an implementation formula, and according to that formula, we ended up with 3.7 million. So I couldn't tell you what the criteria are, but there was a formula that decided how this was distributed. Yeah.
While the money is in holding, is it interest bearing or interest bearing?
So the State Board of Accounts put out a memo saying that we can earn interest on our money. And that interest can be used for any purpose. It doesn't have to fall within these categories. So that interest can be used for whatever project.
So right now, is it in an interest bearing or is it not?
No.
I don't know.
We'd have to wait until we.
No, so then can our
Yeah.
first motion be to put that in an interest bearing?
Yeah, we should probably ask for that to be placed in an interest-bearing account.
Yes.
Can I make a couple of suggestions
Sure.
before we get too deep? You made a good one around agenda, kind of setting up an agenda, right? And then the other one is we probably should adopt Robert's rules so that we could have a little order for the meetings. And I don't know if I'm getting out of order on that, but I
We don't really have an order right now.
I know, but I don't want to step on toes either. But I think, those two things are pretty important before we get too deep into conversations. And then the other one is maybe a date and time so that we know when we are going to meet and everybody
Yeah,
else,
'cause-
and you might be going to bed soon because we're late.
Yeah.
And
this-
I agree, an agenda plus Robert's rules
Yeah.
sets the order.
Yeah, it does. And then, yeah, if you do Robert's rules, the agenda is pretty well set, so yeah, you're
Right.
absolutely right.
Yep.
But,
So,
I
so
mean,
you want to make a motion to adopt Robert's Rule of Order?
I
and
would
Get that out of the
love
way?
to- I would like to motion to adopt Robert's Rules of Order for these meetings, and I also would like to suggest the date and time stay as it was tonight. Most council meetings don't run over like they did tonight, so we should be okay, 6:15, right after the council meeting, that way.
That would be fine with me.
It
Right
works
after
well
the council
for-
meeting and not before 6:15?
20 seconds.
Yeah.
that-
Yeah.
Okay, because the council meeting could go 45 minutes,
Yeah.
and people would miss the start of this
Right,
meeting.
6:15. 6:15 is when we should do it, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Second.
All right, we had a motion and a second. Greg,
I'm learning
Greg
new
motion,
voices.
Greg motion, Robert's rules, Sherry seconded.
Sherry, okay,
Yeah.
I'm just trying to learn new voices here.
So we've got a motion and a second on the floor. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0. So we will adopt Robert's rules. Okay.
I would like to we need a application process.
Yep.
Yes.
Because, to put some order to it and to put some, that there's a lot, I see people out here and, like name that I know have interest and, so we need a way of them voicing that interest.
I agree. Anyone have any thoughts on that?
I think obviously a purpose and need section is important.
Yes, yes.
Do you think that's kind of, yeah,
Can you do that on the county government site?
it's a great idea.
The
Yeah.
application on the county government site, that way it just automatically sends to you. You don't have to deal with.
Right, it'll hit the council and the commissioners, which gets
Right.
most of us.
I'd also like to see us list those broad categories of what are eligible, not only on the county website, but putting something in the paper so
Yeah.
that everyone can see. I mean, there are different entities that are mentioned, if you
Yeah.
read deeper into it, that may not know they're eligible for
And
this
links
I was
stuff.
looking for a newspaper representative.
We'll put links maybe to
Yes.
the fact sheet and everything on the website.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Do you think that there should be a limit as to the money is going to what, who, and where?
And I think that's going to be in our further discussion,
Yeah.
that we set these limits, because if you look at the reading, how COVID affected, I don't think there's anything that wasn't affected by COVID. So that's the broadband, that everything could be involved in that. You know, I've spoke to nonprofit organizations already, because they took a very big hit.
Can I make a couple suggestions? One, I think you're absolutely right, we gotta kind of put some boundaries in place. So we probably need to do that next meeting. I don't know if anybody's really prepared to make boundaries tonight, but I think it's a great suggestion. The other one is the application process. I know that there's places out there that have already set up different types of applications, like Perry County Community Foundation. I am positive if we went to them and said, hey, can we see your application in rod and steel, its format or its structure as a starting point, I think they would be very happy to give that to us. And that way we're not coming from a blank page.
Would you care to do that and bring
I
it
will
to
do
the
that.
next meeting?
I will do that. Is there any other ones that we should contact to ask for their? United Way?
Okay.
I'll do that as well.
I don't know, they haven't
Hmm?
I know some other communities that are working on something very similar, I can get it done.
Okay, yeah, if you could bring that to the,
Yeah. Do they have applications too then? Oh, excellent.
Yeah, they're working on that.
Yeah,
Yes, please.
I found St. Louis, Minnesota. They, with their CARES Act money, they had all these applications. So there's lots of them out there we can pull from. But I think if anyone finds any, just bring them.
Are you okay with me and Tara kind of collating what we find? Is that
I
okay
think
with
that'd be a
you, Tara?
great idea.
Yep. Yeah.
Mhm.
The documentation that I've read through kind of gives a list of how we should prioritize money with, not on every single thing, but it makes it very clear that COVID, as far as health care and support of health care to fight COVID, should be our first priority, which is what the money was given for. And so, you know, I don't know if we go to the health department and ask those questions, and I'm not saying that I mean, I realize it's not for them to just buy whatever they want, it's for COVID specific, but do they have unmet needs? Since that's what this was supposed to be the #1 priority for.
Well, I would hope that they would step forward. Maybe somebody needs to reach out to them. Is that what you're asking?
Yes.
Reach out to them or hope that they apply.
Making sure they know it's available.
Mhm.
Well,
Okay.
they have received a lot of different grants over the
Right,
past
and that
year
should,
a half regarding
and that
COVID.
should weigh in on, you know, just like Becky was talking about, do you set amount? Well, if somebody's eligible for lots and lots, and somebody's not eligible for any, then is it fair to put the same limit on both
Exactly.
entities?
And the other thing is the losses that the county
Yes, that's what I was
took,
Right.
our revenue. That is a big issue too.
Yeah.
So do we have documentation on loss of revenue? 'Cause
Yeah.
I don't want to play the guessing game.
Pam and I kind of worked on it. There's a formula that Treasury has out. We calculated about $1.9 million loss. And that's really just due to the 4.1% growth rate we can assume. So it's very inflated, but we can spend up to $1.9 million of our 3.7 just on 2020 loss of revenue alone. And we can use that for pretty much anything besides paying down debt, pension payments up to a certain amount, and there's one other thing that you cannot do. But other than that, it's for the provision of government services. So,
Well,
and I know there's a lot of
but-
county things we need to take care of as well.
Right, but one thing I wanted to say is, we're not telling you we're spending all this money for that now, okay?
It could be.
That's just one of the options that's out there. But we want to do what we can for the whole community.
Actually, we just
But I mean, even if you don't consider the growth portion of that, if you just did the losses, that's a number we really need to look at, because that is losses that we're gonna have to cut somewhere. And it's coming budget time, is when we're in that budget session, you know, we need to think about those things. But I'm like you, I don't feel like spending all this on 3.7 million just on keeping the county afloat is the right thing to do. That there has to be a limit to that too.
We need to meet the intent of the
Yes.
grant. And the
Yes.
intent of the grant
Yeah.
is very specific when you look at those broad categories,
Yeah.
rather than focusing on one area.
But
Well-
I think we
That's
need
right.
to strategically look at it and prioritize what those categories are. And then underneath each one of those, you can prioritize the needs based on that.
Exactly.
Well,
And
but
it's
now,
hard to-
infrastructure, we got to remember too that the federal government is still working on an infrastructure bill. So I would hate to put money toward infrastructure, we could have paid for it through something else. And you can read every day, and it's a moving target. You don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of federal programs that you cannot combine money from another federal program. Like if you have a project and you're paying for it with federal dollars and you're getting some extra money, sometimes there's a stipulation where you can't use two co-funding to
Right.
pay for projects.
And,
So-
like, out of the American Rescue Plan, there's a capital projects fund that Treasury still hasn't even implemented yet, and that's like $10 billion that are going out to states. So there's going to be a lot of infrastructure money that my administration's going to pay for, but that's a different story.
But we don't need to get in a hurry. We have time to do it, so we need to make sure that all of those questions are answered before we commit funds.
Yeah, I
And
agree.
that's why I was so, I'm glad you mentioned the application process. I think it was you. If it wasn't, I'm sorry, whoever did.
Mhm.
But whoever, that was on my list to mention, because I also think it's hard for us to sit here and talk about where money's gonna go until we have those, a majority of those applications in to even know where the need is. You know what I'm saying?
We wouldn't have
It's
thought of
great
it.
if the health department comes up with something, we're like, oh yeah, they need this chunk of money, okay, fine. But what if they don't have a chunk of money? You know what I'm saying? So it's hard to kind of divvy it up even without knowing
You
what the
can't
need
do
is.
that
And-
without
need,
knowing,
yeah.
and fighting COVID, when they say that is the first part of it, there's other
could be
things
other
like,
things, yeah.
I don't know, do Perry Central, Cannleton, and Tell City schools have proper ventilation? I mean, that
They
specifically
receive
is
grants,
mentioned.
yeah.
But it's a
Those
good,
are
it's
the
a
things
good
already
we need to
for
ask,
that.
that's just an example.
example, it's a good
Those are
example,
things.
it's a good example, yeah.
I guess, and part of the application process, just thinking out loud, should be not only the needs, but the other potential funding mechanisms for that.
Sure.
You know, if there's no other need, no other funding mechanism, then that may take more of a priority to this than something that,
Or if they come back and they say, we could do this, but we have no matching funds, and here's the, quadruple matching funds that we could get with it.
That would be
should
great,
too,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
The other night when I spoke at the American Legion, they brought up a subject that I hadn't even thought about. We're all talking about finances, that losses. But these organizations were impacted by loss of lives also that ran their organizations. That's a loss to the organization we have to take into consideration also. Jenny, I'm thinking of John.
It's hard to put a dollar figure on that,
you
but we
can't,
might have to.
That should be something that's on the application, that how they were impacted, not only
sure.
financially.
Of course.
But
I got a question that has to do with the loss of revenue to the county. Usually you set your budget for next year or in October, or the first week of October. So there's kind of like a stepping stone that you're gonna watch, because you've got up till October to see what the county needs. Or you're going to go beyond October, or are you gonna kind of use October as a kind of, let's look at October as a date or a month where we kind of know what we're gonna do. That's just a question, because your budget is set up.
I personally would hate to put a timeline on it now,
Yeah,
to
I
tell you the
know,
truth.
I mean-
But I mean, for the budget part of it, I think we know a heck of a lot more during that time frame. Absolutely. You're absolutely right on that, yes. But I'd hate to put a timeline on anything where we were making decisions at this point, 'cause
It
I
would-
don't think we're even close.
It would really be
Not
tough,
even close.
Yeah.
be tough to know by October of 2021, very tough.
But I would like to say that, when we go through our budgets, we've put stuff in there that can potentially be paid with this money.
I understand.
So we may go look through the budgets and maybe pull some things out and bring it before us and say, could we use that?
Exactly.
And that could free up money in the budget.
To me, I would
Yeah.
I would make the county follow the same application process as everybody else, to tell you the truth.
Mhm.
Just so that it's not department-wise, I'm just saying, you could actually attach that, but basically have them be the same application process. And I'm saying that, but I know it sounds tongue-in-cheek, but it puts them on the same level as everybody else does.
Mhm.
Yeah.
who would apply for the county?
And we may have to rate the applications.
I have no problem with whoever it is, but somebody, because I think it would be a lot of the council on the budget side, what can you strip, what can't you strip, what is your deficiencies, right? And, because you've already said you earmarked some of them that you could probably pay with this money.
Right.
And it doesn't have to be a big blown-out thing, and it doesn't have to be every line item is another application, it could be just, this is our application for the county. That way, it's all on the same playing field, that's all I'm trying to do, so.
Julie, you've been
Is there
patient.
any issue is there any issue in?
I don't see. See, she's been waiting a long time.
Yes,
Sorry.
I took up a lot of time. So going back to putting it in an interest-bearing account, I think you guys need to set up a yearly budget, so you don't blow through your budget. We have how long to use this money?
2024, December 31st.
Okay, so I mean, we should really just, the first thing is divide that by the amount of years that we have, and then look at what you have to allocate yearly. Because you're gonna be building interest on that money that you said it has no parameters on how we use that interest bearing.
No, I didn't, no.
Okay, so what was?
That was me.
No, Luke said
That was
that.
me.
It may be true, but I didn't say it.
One of you guys with
Yeah.
brown hair.
And
white male.
a lot of people.
It's true.
Good finances.
I get them two mixed up all the time.
I trusted it's true that you said
Yeah.
it, I was like, no, I didn't say
But
it.
we have no parameters on interest-bearing income, so really, to set aside, a third of that money and just let it accrue the interest, I think is in the best interest. of
Every-
everybody.
I don't agree with that at all.
Every organization has said this is and you need to think long term. Every, NACO, all these other people, long term. But if there's a need, there's a need. And we should take care of it.
I don't think it should be
My
priority.
point is, like, there's a lot of small businesses and nonprofits, and their need is right now because they have a loss of employees or a loss of, due to supply chain issues and such as that. So to say that, save a third of that for 3 years down the road, I know that this is supposed to make the economy more resilient, but when you're needed now, and we're down, maybe money needs to be spent now for recruitment outside of this area for employees to help local small business and medium, large business owners, whatever, to be, they're trying to make us more recession-proof or whatever this is again.
And it would be tough to set a timeline until we have application,
Well,
honestly.
before we even go
It's,
to applications.
it's even like, oh, sorry,
Mhm.
go ahead, Tara.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Before we even go to applications, I think we ought to really truly seek and survey what the need is out there.
Sure.
Right, through application or whatever.
Well, not even that, actually do a survey. And then really, because if you think about it, you're gonna get tons of applications for a lot of different things. Like with businesses, you'll have tons of businesses, you'll have tons of everything, everybody, we've gotten a couple right here. But we need to know what's really out there, I mean, to gauge the interest of the public.
So can you, okay, since you mentioned that, I know you can do it, what about like a Survey Monkey or something like that?
I mean, it's just a thought, I don't know.
Put it out there and
And I-
just get thoughts of, everybody's thought, not just the
Because
ones that
I'm
making the
telling you,
application.
applications are gonna be, they're gonna be really.
I mean, I
Right.
have Zoho that I could, it's a, like Survey Monkey. but
Okay.
If we came up with a survey, I could put it on there and actually put it out there for people
I
to go
think
see.
setting a timeline for all of this is important too.
Yes.
Because that 2024 will be here before we know it.
Right.
Yeah, so there was one second part to this. I agree with you that there are a lot of small businesses that need this right now. That was the other thing I was gonna mention. I know that there are nonprofits in Tell City that did receive a lot of COVID funding already, and I know that there are some nonprofits that got none. And so I think the priority should be for those who have already not received assistance. I know you talked about having some priorities on there, but there are also, the smaller businesses, for example, the Tell City Train, that got zero funding, that brings in a ton of money to the community. So I don't think it should just be about priority of what they've received or not received, and priority of it being for COVID first, yes, absolutely. But then after that, how does it benefit the community long-term?
So we got twofold thing with the application of people that have a project or whatever that need the money. And then we also need the information of what the people that are not applying for it, what they actually want the money to be spent on. So, can we just make a motion, you set up a survey? Do we need to come up with a question? The sooner the better. You done mentioned it.
I'll make two motions, how's that?
Okay.
I don't know if there was a motion on me and Tara collating findings around applications, but I'll make that motion. Is that okay?
I'll second it.
On a survey?
No,
No,
this is
no.
on the.
On the application. Yeah, okay.
application.
We haven't got there
Application.
yet.
So just
Okay.
collating what's out there to maybe see what we can do.
Okay. Motion made and seconded by Charlie.
Yes.
So you can take a vote on that one?
Yeah, everybody in favor, aye?
Aye.
Anybody opposed, same sign? Okay.
So that's an application. Do we want a deadline by to have that? I mean, what
We
is,
should.
what are we thinking?
Can you get it next
Next
Can we
meeting?
do it next meeting?
I think so.
There's 4 weeks. Yeah, I think so.
I think that's plenty,
Yeah,
I mean,
next
because
meeting.
communities are working on them right now, and there's a
Yeah.
couple that's already initiated.
Use what work somebody else did.
Yeah. What?
Use what work somebody else did already.
Oh, Robin Steele, when it comes to that kind of stuff.
Right.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Yeah.
How about the survey?
So we're gonna have an application ready to approve potentially by the next meeting.
Mhm.
Collating of the findings, I think having an actual application done might be a little bit, because I would like these guys to see it.
Well, yeah,
A draft?
to potentially
A draft?
approve at the next
A
meeting,
draft.
yeah.
A draft.
Yeah, to potentially come up, so
Yeah.
that takes care of that. So I guess we need to establish that, I guess, do we need to take a formal vote that we are meeting after each council meeting?
We
Oh, we
probably,
didn't do that, so yeah.
is that a motion?
Sure, that's a motion, at 6:15 after
Yes.
council meeting.
Okay.
6:15 after council meeting.
Yes.
Greg,
Second?
you made that one too?
I did.
Second.
Someone else, please.
Sherry second?
Who?
Sherry seconded
Sherry
it?
did? Okay.
Let's speak up, she's almost as old as I am. Sorry.
You're allowed to hit it.
Hey, everybody in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Can I have meals brought in since I had 3 meetings in a row on those days?
Yeah,
So
I'll
we're
bring
talking
you
about-
McDonald's. I'll bring you McDonald's.
This is the this is the fourth Thursday of every month.
Okay.
Fourth Thursday of every month after the council meeting at approximately 6:15. Fourth Thursday.
I do want to make a note to my comment a while ago when I said about the county having an application process. Obviously, this year is going to move so fast when it comes to this budget that I think that's a long conclusion, but future years is what I was probably more likely to go into, because there's no way we'll have the whole thing ready and everybody have applications in by the time we're doing budget. So this year would probably be the only year that we bypass that as well.
And that was the reason I was asking that question.
Oh, I'm sorry, I misunderstood. Yes, misunderstood, sorry.
Well, I probably didn't make it.
No, no.
What
Yeah.
about your survey?
And then the surveys for need,
Of items that-
I'm gonna need help on that one. I can do the electronic side, but I'm gonna need help for the survey of need.
Well, when you say
Is Tara
survey-
looking at me again.
Are you talking about surveying like potential, like not-for-profits, businesses, or just the public in general? Like who's the audience that you're surveying?
I was thinking public in general.
Yeah.
That was my thought. Ralph, you got something to add?
Aaron has some information with the community involvement of the applications of businesses and that actually already applied for COVID but turned down. Am I saying that correctly?
Yes, when we worked on the Okra grant, I
So
have
there's applications possibly that's already out there that you could grab from there.
Mm-hmm.
testimonials from businesses.
But the survey, how do you,
Well, you can ask that in a question. You can say, are you a small business? Were you affected by COVID? You could, I mean, that depends on how they answer the questions. And then you can say, are you a nonprofit? Were you affected by COVID? You can answer all
They
that.
don't have to necessarily be linear, in the sense that, they say they're a small business, that gives them a whole different set of questions than if they say they're a nonprofit. It doesn't have to be a linear
Right.
type of thing.
and you're talking about the application process or the
The survey
survey?
for need, if we wanted to do it that
Okay.
way, it doesn't have to be. But I would need help on what questions to ask and that kind of stuff. That is kind of out of my realm completely. I mean,
I would personally like to see what's important to the general public as opposed to the groups that, I want to see that. I don't know, do we need to separate that out in a survey?
Maybe we could
Are you
have
wanting
two.
like a needs assessment based on COVID and the effects thereof?
I'm thinking just-
Needs assessments already.
Right, but I'm thinking-
And I don't know, what do you want to tie in? You want to tie into these 4 functions, right?
Well, I would like to see just a general, what is the general public believe that everybody knows about this ARP and it's going on, and everybody's got an opinion. I'd like to bring those general opinions, that this person over here that doesn't need it, but they believe that it should be spent on that. That was the information I was looking for. See what I mean?
But I don't know that everyone in the general public necessarily, nor do all of us, understand. We just ask them, people are going to come up with what's important to them. I don't know that they understand how different areas have been affected. I'm not sure that everyone in this community understands just how important small business is for this county to operate. We lose our small businesses, we're gone. I mean, that's a huge part of this county, and I'm not sure everyone really understands that. A lot of people have the impression that if you own a business, you're rich. Well, there are a lot of people who own businesses that are barely scraping by, especially this past year, since they didn't have people coming into their places of business. So, with that said, also, I don't know if we could, as a group, with help from other public members, come up with something that might be beneficial to not Joe's burger shop, but all small businesses in the area. And just an example, I'm not saying we should do this, just an example. Maybe we use some of the money to offset, to pay if it's legal, to pay the chamber fees for all the small businesses in our community for a year. They're hurting for money because they were closed, but something like that benefits everyone instead of just one business.
And it is kind of a double hit too, because it also helps them make sure that they're going to keep their revenue, which
Right.
they have a purpose and a need too. So that's, I like that. It's kind of a neat.
I was harder at 22 than I ever have. I paid probably 10% of, we didn't even bill 9% of business.
But that's what
They were hurting, but they called me wanting me in, or emailed me.
Dan?
Would you consider an assessment of both the general public, which is good, and then perhaps some agencies in town that are pretty plugged into the needs, such as Lincoln Hills, Leisure, in the hospital, that can really give you a good feel for the kind of urgency of some of the needs that you might see in the application?
So maybe 2 surveys targeted on 2 different.
Because I think they're pretty aware.
I mean, seriously. I mean,
Like the Community Foundation, United Way, Lincoln Hills.
Yeah.
So I guess we could do 2 separate ones.
that, or we could put it in there with the logic that says, pick your
If
path.
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
That may save.
And then it jumps over to different questions
Yeah.
based on what they check.
Yeah, it's pretty easy to do that, And then that way it's one link. You don't have to look for your specific link, it's just that one link.
Well, and we need to identify, what do we want to know if it is a small business? What are those questions?
Yeah, that's right. And I think the flow pattern of that is probably the first thing to go through and figure out.
At this point,
I
we
don't
need
want
to
that
be,
one.
at
It's not good enough.
this point, we need to be pretty general.
Yes.
We don't need to be specific at this
No,
point.
no,
We
no.
need to cast a broad net.
But there still needs to be,
And then narrow
a
it down.
flow and a process to it, and somebody's got to come up with those questions. And they have to be questions that bring value back to this group. We don't want to ask them questions for no apparent reason,
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Because you can do that with a survey sometimes.
Yeah.
You can ask things that's like, well, why would you even ask that? Because 50% of them don't even know how to answer it, kind of thing.
Can a link in the survey give the definition of this funding
Oh,
and give
yeah.
information and says like, do you understand what this is? If not, click here.
Yeah.
That should be question number 1.
Mhm.
Well, we're going to put all those links on the website too.
Yeah, so we want to do a needs survey that incorporates input from the general public and certain agencies. So how are we going to tackle that?
Who wants to,
I
who
like
wants
on
it?
some of those
What about
agencies,
separating it out in
isn't that
sectors, like
why?
the churches, the nonprofits, the medical, the
Yeah,
education?
we may be able to,
law
we should be able to do that in the survey, right? The
Yeah, the
logic.
survey.
The
Yeah.
best thing to do is do that in the survey, because then when you want to look at all the pattern, for instance, those things that you just defined, that's a pie chart then at that point, if it's all in one survey. So when they click, it's education, it starts to build that education in the pie chart. So you can see, 40% of it is education, 10% of it's church. I don't know, I'm just making these numbers off the top of my head. But I think if you keep it all in one survey, but they pick their path, I think that's the way to do it, because it will make more sense long term.
It'll
Yeah.
give us
Who can
information.
fill out this
Deep in the
survey?
weeds right now, just
People who
saying.
live in Perry County, or people who own property in Perry County, or?
I don't know if we'll be able to really restrict who can answer the survey, right?
I mean, if
Well,
you have
the
a
only thing we could
business-
do is ask for an address, and if they own, and have them be part of the survey.
I don't think we should limit it to just people who own. I mean, own property, because we're all residents. I mean, it doesn't matter whether you own property or not, you can still get
Somebody who
COVID.
rents has
Because
just
still,
relative opinion.
Well, yeah, but there's also
But living
business
here.
owners that
A
don't live
resident.
here.
Right.
That question could be, are you a resident of Perry County? Yes or no?
So could
Yeah.
like question number 2 be like, do you own or live in Perry County or own a business in Perry County? If yes, check yes, no. If it says no, then it kicks them off the system. Thanks for doing our
Or if it
survey.
puts,
Have a great
or if
day.
it puts it over here, you know, this is somebody that doesn't own or live in Perry County, but, you know, is their opinion unimportant? I don't know, maybe it is important. You know what I mean?
Do we have a platform for this, we think? We
Oh,
could-
Zoho will do it.
Okay, so we have a platform, so,
What's the platform called?
Zoho. Yeah, it's an easy platform to work with.
Because you could,
And I've got a
you could go to a
license.
church in this community but not live here.
Yeah.
We have a lot of people
And
like
still have an
that
impact.
come over, but still,
so the next
Okay.
question is, how do we come up with the questions?
Yes.
Well, I think part of, I don't think we should overthink it too much, because I do think part of it, like, I feel like I was put on this committee because I am somewhat in touch with our not-for-profits and our small businesses and things like that, so I think we can't overthink it and ask so much that it's so in detail, it's hard to like move forward from
And
there.
that's what I'm saying. If you overload it, then you're asking questions you don't really need because you won't make decisions off of them.
Right.
Here's the other
Keep
thing.
it simple, stupid.
There's gonna be
Yes.
people that aren't digital
Yeah.
and won't have access for that survey, so we need to also think about that, on how else they can access the survey.
Teresa,
Zoho will
could,
let you do printed as well.
Teresa, if
Okay.
we could we put a box at the, somewhere out here that has a paper form of this survey, and people just, is that a poss?
You mean out here in the rotunda or something?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
said you're gonna do a newspaper to kind of talk about, like a newspaper or article that discuss some of these flow parameters and the list. Could there be like a phone number associated with that that says like, hey, if you want to give additional information on this, call this number?
Yeah, we'd have to figure that out.
I think we also need to offer assistance to help people with this. Because this is not, even though they're answering these questions, it's not gonna be easy. You know, I mean, in their minds, and I'll speak on behalf of the regional arts. That was devastating for us. We didn't receive anything last year, and we gave everything out and to schools as much as we could. But we didn't qualify for COVID because our revenue was less than 50,000.
That's the same thing with the training.
With 2 years. You had to prove that you made revenue for, and we're just a small local, you know, nonprofit. We didn't, that wasn't our goal, was to make revenue, was to put it back out in the community. So that knocked us out of tons of different things that we could have qualified for. So there's a lot of nonprofits out there, I mean, and even just, you know, people that really got affected by COVID in several other areas, like what you touched on. I think we're gonna have to offer maybe our own fact sheet, you know, to guide them through this. I think it's gonna be, it can be overwhelming.
Can we come up with questions tonight, or do we need to put that to the next meeting?
I
Well,
think,
that's
I
gonna
think you
be-
need a subcommittee for that.
Yeah,
Okay.
that'll take a lot of time.
Yeah.
The subcommittee to bring a proposed survey to the next meeting? Is that your motion?
I didn't make a motion.
Oh.
Please,
So-
someone else take this one.
Can I bring this to the table? I had talked to several members that because we have 2 commissioners on this committee, all of our meetings have to be open to the public. I suggested some subcommittees and break up the 2 commissioners where we can meet individually. We're not doing anything under the table. We're going to report back to the public at our meeting, but I think we need
Just trying to
divide.
get some of the work done.
Yes.
Well, I think for work sessions and stuff like that, that's absolutely fine. Once we get to the application process and we're reviewing applications, we really shouldn't split up. It
No.
should be
Right.
very open.
I
Very,
agree with
very
that,
open.
but-
Very, very open.
Yes.
Starting out,
Sure.
we
More
need to
processes.
meet.
Yes.
I agree with the council on what it says, don't overthink it.
Yes.
This assessment is just the very beginning. part of the
Exactly.
process.
That's right.
So I wouldn't make it too complicated. And if we want to get the general public's feeling about this, I'm all for that. But I think you can gauge a few local agencies and get a very good idea of what the need is, if that's what you're
We don't want to spend our whole time frame
No.
surveying.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
I don't want to, like I said, I work for Indiana 15, just want to make that clear, but we were doing a resiliency plan for 6 counties. And we've already done this.
How much time have
Yeah.
you spent?
We've already asked all these,
Yeah.
we've asked for nonprofit advice, local government agencies. So a lot of this has already been done, but we need to, of course, make sure everyone has a chance to say something.
And I would also say that once the proposals come in, they're probably going to give you some data to back up their proposition of the need. So I think you're going to get a lot of that information.
True.
He said separate committee, what, let's do two? you're saying?
No, like me and Tara, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Me and Tara are splitting up from the group, and we're gonna work on doing the application draft.
Right.
Not deciding what the application is, but just a draft. So we're not starting this meeting with a blank sheet like we are now.
Right.
Bring some
To
ideas
survey
to the
your
table.
opinions, and
Right.
then you develop your pie chart, which is good.
Yeah.
And you 7, you got a huge job.
Absolutely.
It's up to you, you're gonna have to make the decision.
Mhm.
You 7 as a committee, so that's why I heard separate.
Right.
Oh, no, that's why I
You get a pie
said,
chart,
Yeah.
take all your data,
Yeah.
you got a
Right.
big job.
that's why I said the 7, once the application process is started and done.
Then it's back.
We gotta be together, that's gotta be very,
Right.
very open.
But there are things that we could get done in
Oh,
small
yeah, I
committees
agree with that. Just you
to
two.
bring back.
So let's talk about this survey. Do we want to split into 3 people for a
I-
subcommittee for the
Yeah.
general need and agency survey?
Yeah.
I think so.
Okay.
I think that would be
I don't
good.
want to be one of the 3, but I will be on call if you have questions like, can it do this? Okay, software wise,
Yeah.
okay, if that's
Okay.
okay, I'll bow out of this one.
So does anyone want to volunteer? We can do up to 3 people.
I was going to volunteer for, people for this.
Oh, you got to volunteer people?
No, I'm going to volunteer, that's what you do.
If it ain't
Council.
Charlie,
Yeah.
then we don't want to hear
No,
it.
Charlie's got I think Aaron, Tara, and Sherry would be a good subcommittee for this.
If they would volunteer for it.
If they would
And
agree.
Charlie.
And that whole chart.
I've learned from Luke.
So I guess let's ask for volunteers first. I mean,
Okay.
we need a group of people to help come up with questions for the general public and special agencies, certain agencies, certain types.
So you're talking come up with questions, not create the survey,
No, I'll
not
do
the
that.
technical part.
I'll do
Right,
that.
we just-
I'll do that for you.
We need the
He's
questions.
IT person.
I'll sit on it. Yes.
Look, didn't you say Indiana 15's already done this though?
Yeah, we're working on a resilience plan. It's not going to be done until next year. But we've already done these, we've done focus groups. We were waiting to put out a survey. We have a survey drafted that's never been put out. It's kind of old, but, I mean, maybe I can ask if we can kind of look at that as well.
Yeah, if we could take copies of what
I mean,
they've
don't
already
recreate the
done.
wheel.
Yeah, you're right.
Right.
Exactly.
And we
It's
can
very
pick and
easy.
choose and
Recreate the
reword.
wheel and spin your wheels.
Yeah.
And
Something
there's
you don't need.
lots of communities who already done these surveys, so we might be able to find that out.
I just think the survey is gonna help this group gauge where we really see the funding going. Is it gonna spread out evenly? Is it gonna weigh heavily over here? And then we can anticipate what kind of proposals.
So
we
I'm
get.
kind of thinking that with your access to existing surveys,
Yeah, he should be on this.
just saying.
Sure, Charlie. All you-
Jeez, it's like pulling teeth.
All right, we need one more. Well, we don't have to, well, yeah, we need one more. We can do up to 3.
For sure.
I'll do it with you.
Sure, okay.
Of course.
Mhm.
Who all's on here?
What a good.
We've got Tom, Luke, and Sherry for the
Okay.
general, for the survey questions.
Because that has something to do with writing, and nobody can read my writing.
Tom,
Sure,
Yes,
Dan.
sir.
Luke and Sherry.
When you survey the general public, you may very well get perception.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But when you gauge these agencies, you will get reality.
Right, and we'll have to weigh them
Yeah.
from the source. So, is that?
Oh, and surveys have to be taken with a grain of salt.
Yes,
Those can be very
exactly.
easily swayed. Okay, we want to make sure this gives him. Let me call all my friends and have them fill out the survey and say, this
Yeah.
is what we need.
We're not voting, we're surveying.
Yeah.
I mean,
This is-
Yeah, I mean.
This is an
that's-
unscientific
that's-
survey.
That's what we don't want it to turn into a vote. That's
Right.
the survey.
Yeah, I'm making this observation about percentage of county. How much does that fund is the county gonna take? Now, if they're gonna take 45%, that fund is almost split in half. I don't know how much you're gonna take. You said 1.9 million shortfall?
That's the max we could use up, and that's just for 2020. We can calculate lost revenue for 2021,
If you take
2022.
that, that's pretty near 45%.
Yeah, it's a big chunk.
Right. And
Yeah.
So then, the rest of it, the categories are going to be so much less, and you've got such a demand that you're going to have organizations lining up, a whole lot less than what they thought they was going to get.
Yeah, and that's just the maximum. We don't have to spend that 1.9. That's just up to that amount for this year. Like I said,
Thinking about going for it.
I have no idea.
Well, see, that's, the comment was made that the county should have the same application process as everything, that they're just another applicant.
The county's going to have priority though, because you guys are running.
No, I don't think
Well-
the county should have priority.
No,
well-
I mean,
We got to trust the 7 selected, highly selected. They'll go through it all.
Yeah, I mean, we have to,
If
we have to answer
Let-
those.
Let's, I'm sorry, I will call on it. I'd like to respond to that one. It would be poorly we would not have any long-sighted vision in that, because if, let's say it's small businesses, and we hoard all the money as a county, right? We keep it all, and we give none to small businesses, and they all close because they can't make it. That is not good, or they can't grow, even, I mean, just as bad, they can't grow. That's very short-sighted if we would do that. So I personally, I mean, and I think everybody on the board understands that if we invest to where it's going to make us more money down the road, we're way better off than using it all just right now. You
Right,
know,
because if the business is closed, then the
revenue's
revenue
gone.
coming into the county falls, and
we have
you
a
spent
great, we
money
have
for
a great
nothing.
2020, or 2021, but we don't have anything after that,
Right.
But, but we got to be careful on that too, because there is a shortfall, and there are things that we as a county have to do too as well, so,
Right. And we have to weigh that.
It's a balancing act, it truly is. So.
And as I spoke to you guys the other night, you're very important too. The nonprofit organizations are very important to this community.
Oh, you've got to keep them.
So we have to keep those going.
So it's not, he's absolutely right, this is not an easy decision, it really is not going to be. It will have to weigh this extremely heavy.
And that's why we have it in public meeting.
Right,
You
and
know.
Tom has made this comment several times, we could have 10 times this amount of money
And
and
still,
still
Spend it easy.
not make everyone happy.
Jim?
And we know
My
that.
question
Yeah,
again,
Jim.
is there anything at the national level that says the Treasury Department is going to actually we're going to get more money in the future? That was my main question. Because that's very paramount. If you all know, hey, we're going to have another $1 million here.
There's nothing,
Infrastructure.
yeah, there's nothing like this coming down the pipe. This is the first and probably only time this will ever happen. But the American Rescue Plan is broad. There's so many different pipelines of funds. Well, there's stuff that we may be able to find funding for. And not our local fiscal recovery fund, but there's another fund that's over here that maybe we could use that for.
Right.
So,
Didn't the city get money? too?
yeah, the city will get their
So
own.
it's going to correlate that there's not an overlap.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
Mhm.
The city's getting,
We've already got funding,
I think the city's getting $1.5 million.
Yeah, but the city can get other funding because the fact that the state funded as opposed to in the Treasury Department. So that's,
There'd be different ways they could spend it.
And we can use some of our money to work with these other communities that are getting money too for a bigger project.
I just thought maybe there was something in the process.
Mhm.
That kind of goes back to my point about the interest bearing accounts, make that money stretch as far as it can, because it ain't coming again. So can we get a motion on that? Just saying.
Let's,
Put it in some interest.
all we can do is recommend that.
Yeah.
The treasurer makes that
Treasurer has to
formal.
do it.
Yeah, Cindy.
I just one thing with the survey. Is there any way to ask a question to, and you're not going to be able to do it, but the question of how can we help to,
How can what, I'm sorry?
help to make
Make
you
you
whole,
whole.
especially these small businesses?
Mhm.
That
Mhm.
that would be the question, and you're not gonna be able to. But at least it would give a parameter for them to say.
You just thought they can write in.
Right, what they
Not just
would
yes or
help
no.
them
Yeah.
to come back and at least meet, you know, something that.
That could be part of the application and survey, you know.
There are places where they could actually type a certain amount of text. We could do that. You do have to manually sift through it then at that point, but that's, I understand that, you know, sometimes that has more value in it than a click. Exactly. So, yeah.
Or just put like 2 lines instead of the whole paragraph.
Yeah.
Just give them 2 lines to write
Yeah, you
on.
can limit the amount of text they have.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
And I want to make clear my comment around the whole fiscal and the county thing. That comment was for the whole group. This whole group is not short-sighted on that, so I just wanted you to understand that. I said me, but I wanted to make sure it was clear that none of us have that short-sightedness.
and I think one thing that I guess we need to talk about is this committee was formed, but to make recommendations, but we need, is it gonna be worth, I mean, are we gonna take what we do seriously? Like, are our recommendations gonna be,
I would be
Not fall on
highly
deaf ears?
disappointed.
yeah, are they not gonna, are we gonna make sure that we're not wasting our time here, we're doing the best we can?
I would be
And,
very highly disappointed.
Okay, that's good.
I'll phrase it that way. How's
okay,
that?
yeah, no, I just wanted,
And so what you're asking is this committee going to make a bunch of recommendations, and then the commissioners just do what they want to anyway?
and then the council's like, we don't wanna do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right,
So,
the-
Yeah.
That's
Council,
why we have
commissioners, whoever.
members-
Well, the
No.
commissioners make, and then the council has to approve it, so there's that check and balance.
Sure.
But, yeah, I
But we
mean,
don't want to be wasting our time.
Exactly.
We need to be taken seriously, or why put this group together?
Yeah, I don't wanna
Neither
waste.
do we, Sherry.
well, yeah, I'll tell you, as commissioner, I would love to have help on how to spend it, because, you know what I mean? You don't want to just spend it on something and then find out, 2 months later, oh, well, crap, it would have been better if I'd done this. So the help from this committee is welcome on that, because this is new. So many things in our commissioner's budget is we don't have much choice on, and in the same way with the council, I mean, but, yes, we welcome the
What are you guys
input.
officially calling this board? You keep saying this board and this committee. Is it officially the CARES Act Committee,
No.
board? What is
No,
the?
it's not CARES
We're-
Act.
It's
Yeah.
American Rescue
American-
Plan.
American
And
Rescue.
we really, this is American Rescue Plan Committee, I don't know what you wanna call it,
Yeah.
but,
Advisory committee.
yeah, because we need to make sure that's clear, this is not a formal, we have no statutory authority here.
No.
This is just an advisory board.
It's a 3-tier process. This goes to the commissioners, goes to the council.
Okay, so when I tell other people they need to come to you, what do I tell them? They're coming to the ARP
ARP
board?
committee.
They're
Yeah.
gonna be like. the
Advisory.
ultimate-
Do we need to officially
You know
name
what I'm
it?
saying? ARP is
Advisory
like the
committee,
program
I don't
for people
know.
that are-
American Rescue Plan Advisory Committee.
Advisory
Okay,
committee.
I'm gonna make a motion.
Okay, go for it.
You need
We're
a name for the board.
gonna name ourselves the Perry County American Rescue Plan Advisory Committee.
I'll second that motion.
I like the
That's a
long name.
mouthful.
Say that again.
Perry County American Rescue Plan Advisory Committee.
Yeah.
Maybe we can make an
Because
acronym.
there's too many others.
Or the ARP
Trustees
Advisory
got their
Committee
own.
or committee.
There's the Perry County ARP.
Yeah.
I think we have to have
PCAR
Perry
PAC.
County in it.
Yeah.
Keep our back.
That's what I put.
So the Perry County American Rescue Plan Advisory Committee.
Did anybody second
Someone did, but I'll do.
Aaron?
it? Aaron did.
Aaron will second it.
Thank you.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Dan, did you have something to add?
Yes.
I would just make the suggestion that we operate under the assumption that this is it. This is all we're going to get. And work that way. And if by chance we get money again
It's it.
later, that's a different conversation.
Well, everything this committee, everything that this committee pulls together, all the data doesn't lie. And that's going to better help the commissioners and the council make their decision,
Mm-hmm.
I would hope.
It should.
I hope out of this committee, we actually have relatively a 99.9% complete plan. This is the plan. That's what I'm hoping to get out of it. Not just a recommendation or a partial plan or whatever. This is the plan. That's what I hope to get out of the committee, to tell you the truth.
And it's hard to say, okay, the commissioners vote that they're gonna go 100% by this. I mean, because you're voting on something you don't know. But all commission meetings are public meetings, and you're welcome to come to it and welcome to raise up. That's not what you said in the ARP, okay?
So, last question, I promise you guys, I'm so sorry. You needed a name, you can't hold that against me. Are you gonna have this on any social media platforms? I ask because I am the generation that does not read the paper, I don't always watch your Facebook feeds, and you don't even have a Facebook page for the Perry County ARP yet, so.
All of our meetings
How is
are
that?
being live streamed on YouTube. So we have a Perry County, Indiana government YouTube page. Our meetings will be available there.
And typically, people post them on Facebook multiple times.
Yeah.
Really, the reason I asked this wasn't really just to watch the meetings, but I think it's important for the public that's in my generation and who are the Facebook users to see when somebody does get this grant, how they're benefiting the community. I think that should be public knowledge immediately. Hey, we just funded the school X amount, we just funded the health department X amount, the whatever small business just got a grant from us. I think you should post it.
Yeah.
We can use PicPerry for.
Yeah.
And I've got
Yeah.
We can use it
Perfect
for
to
any.
team up.
and I've got
Yeah.
a councilman Facebook page. So I mean,
Yeah.
we've got multiple avenues.
So as long as that's kind of like a consistent thing, 'cause I want to see, I want to see her get a grant. I want to, put a face to the money is really what it comes down to.
Yeah, that's important.
So just a little recap. So Tara and Greg are working on a draft application. Our meeting dates are the fourth Thursday of every month at 6:15. We've adopted Robert's rules. Tom, Luke, and Sherry are going to work on questions for a survey.
Yes, and that one we did not take a motion on, and you did everything else. So
And
are
you-
you going
and
to
you-
do a motion on those three?
Questions over.
And you didn't give a date and time for when you were gonna have the survey questions done.
By next meeting?
By our next meeting?
I thought by next meeting
While you're
It
without
was
Sherry.
implied, it was
was
implied.
implied. Let's go. Well, we need a motion, like Pam says. So,
As
I'll make
far
a
as the
motion
small
on all
meeting, there
that.
was no motion,
Okay.
there was one with Ray.
I like that.
I'll make Robert's rules. Sarah making that motion.
And all that.
Nice try, though.
And I will second that, Pam.
I made a motion to nominate you three for the.
I'll second that motion.
I think.
Yes, survey question committee, so,
And
and Aaron seconded.
Yes.
Sorry, we went ahead of you guys.
And report back by next meeting.
Yeah. So we got a motion and a second on the floor. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, so that is the survey committee.
Thank you, Pam, for keeping us honest.
Well, I'm just making sure I got all my
So-
bases covered.
You did good.
I have for this information, do we have something where all this is going currently that we can access, or is this?
Yeah, we need like a drive folder or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, that's probably the best thing to do.
Yeah.
can I ask our
I just don't
administrator
want any of
to,
these to get lost.
could your office be the point of collection? Are you okay with
Oh,
that?
my gosh. Oh, no.
I know it's one more thing, but you're so good at doing things.
That face though.
We could have a box, something for people to put it in, if you want that.
What?
Like this box I have.
Yeah, I was gonna say, do we have
I
any?
think we're talking about collecting these types of things for all of us to review as we need to, rather than it's all hanging on to pieces of paper. So somewhere where we can go
Like a Google
digitally,
Doc
so
drive
that
or
we can
something.
all look at this
Like a
when we
shared
want to.
Google, yeah.
I mean,
Like a
We
shared
can-
Google
one of us
Doc.
can make a drive account.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In our personal, we can all just share it. We'll do it that
Okay.
way.
Okay.
But do we have any email licenses available?
We have to check.
Because, yeah, it might be good to have a committee advisory, like an email account people can come to.
Make it
Do you want
generic,
me
so in
to-
case in the future you can use it.
To take a little work off of Teresa, do you want me to call Anjan and see if we can't set up like a OneDrive and an email for this as well? So do you want me to take that on? Because
That'd be great.
I can speak the same language with Anjan in the IT world to make that happen.
Yes.
Is that okay with you, Teresa, if I take that
I'll do
on?
whatever you need, and just.
Oh, I know, but I'm just taking it, if you're gonna collect papers and stuff, then I'll do the electronic side if you want me
Yeah,
to.
what are you wanting me to do again? Just
Well-
clear.
I think
The box
Greg is going to do that.
Yeah, I'll-
He's gonna come up with
The store, what about an email?
Yeah, both.
Okay,
I'll
I'll take
talk
care
to
of
him
that.
about
Okay,
both.
Teresa, don't worry about
Sorry,
it.
I'm just,
I,
going over most.
You've been here since 8 a.m. or earlier,
That's why I'm trying
so.
to take something for you. Right now.
Huh?
All right. So next month, we can, hopefully, we'll have that draft application, hopefully have a draft survey questions. So should we tell people to wait to send us anything until, it's like we've already got like Troy Township and a
As
couple
you
others.
collect it, we'll just put it in there, okay?
So we'll take it, yeah.
Yeah, don't, I wouldn't turn anything away right
Yeah.
now. Just, we'll
Right.
compile
How many
as we
things
get
have you already
it.
received?
We received the Rome, Friends of the Rome Courthouse. We got Troy Township Water, Antro Water.
Which is the same thing.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's two separate.
Yeah, they're asking.
Right, but they're in the same
about
office.
different groups.
Three requests.
So I've three so far.
Yes.
So, actually, and I think Logan Day sent me from the train sent me an email a long time ago.
Yeah,
Yes.
I've been texting him the whole
Yes.
meeting and keeping him updated.
Yeah, so that's a potential another one, but nothing formal. So,
I will just tell you, the train brings in hundreds of thousands of dollars to the community, and they didn't get a single penny for COVID money and relief, and it is the only attraction that we have in this county that serves age 2 to 92, so if you lose it, it's
How
gonna
do
be
you
bad.
calculate that? I'm just, how'd you come up with that?
The numbers?
Yeah.
It's what they bring in, so it's the amount of people that come in, that extra driving. So last time I was on the train, just so you know, there was 2 families from Texas, one from like Indianapolis, there was one from Chicago, you know.
But
when I
you're
ride the
talking
train, I get
gross,
to meet
that's not what they
tourism
net.
stuff.
You're talking gross.
Yeah, I'm talking about what they bring into the community, just by having tourism. It's the tourism bounce back to the community is what I was speaking.
And I've had businesses in town say that the train doesn't.
Yeah, like, so for example, when somebody rides the train, if you've never rode it, I'm just gonna give you an example of what happens. I'm like, hi, I'm Julie, the face paint lady. Just so you know, if you're hungry, you should check out Chicago's or Los Amigos. If you've never been to Hollenstein store, it's the oldest store that we have in the entire county. It's 100 years old and it's owned, family owned. We talk for 45 minutes about local businesses on the train. That's all we do. Because what else are you gonna do? You're look at trees. So that's what we do, is we support local business. And they turn around, they get off the train, they go take some pictures at the flood walk, and they go shop and eat. And they stay at the hotels.
yeah.
Okay.
All right. I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
Just one.
Oh, sorry.
Sure. We haven't voted yet.
No, you were going through the things that you set up.
Yeah.
Did you go ahead and say that, yeah, we're gonna put the money into an account that's gonna draw interest?
Well, that's
Or did you not?
I don't
He
think
said
we
that
can
already. We
because
can
of
only
the-
recommend that to the treasurer.
This committee can't do that.
The treasurer has
Can't do
to.
that.
The treasurer has.
We can
Recommend and make
Yeah.
recommendations.
Right.
yeah. I could talk to her.
Yeah. She'll be back Monday.
Yeah.
Okay. We got a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you all for being here.
Thanks,
You guys
everyone.
for making the committee.
4 hours.
It doesn't matter. Just make up the day.
That's all right.